That was my first time this year, and like I bawled on the road like a baby.
Really?
I was crying. Like, don't make me cry right now. It was so beautiful. Like everyone has always said, you know, Trinidad, like there's nothing like it. It's the Mecca, da 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 da. But I'm like, okay, guys, whatever. It really is. Like, it's just beautiful. Forget the parties. Like, I think Trinidad's only carnivals that I've been to that I didn't need the parties to help make the experience. So I feel like, for example, Barbados, love the road, love the experience, love the music, but I think the parties make up a lot of the experience. So Trinidad, it was like, if I just had Monday and Tuesday, I would be completely happy. I was like, being on stage was like nothing I've ever felt. It was beautiful. Monday and Tuesday.
I'm here with Letitia,
aka
Carnival Bae. Tisha.
Hi guys.
She helps newbies from around the world explore carnival, know what to do with carnival. Letitia's a carnival model for the last 13 years or so. Yeah. Definitely like a carnival influencer here in Toronto and really in the diaspora in the carnival community. So when exactly did you get started in this space, like as a model, and why?
Okay, so I started a year after I had my daughter. I think it was something that I wanted to kind of challenge myself with. I think it was a reason for me to get back into shape, because like I was young, I snapped back, but I think I just didn't have the body that I had before I had her. I think I learned a lot about just fitness and health after I had her, and it was a reason for me to get back in shape. And I said, okay, well, this seems like fun. I really enjoyed playing mass the couple of times that I did.
Okay, so back when you started, this was 2010.
Yes.
And you had to email to be able to get in touch with some of these band leaders and these section leaders. So maybe there's somebody who's listening and they want to be a Toronto Carnival model. What is the route to get in today?
I'd say it starts with your social media presence, because that's where section leaders and band leaders are going to look first. That's literally your portfolio right now. So one, make sure that your page is public. Make sure that you represent, you know, modeling. So poses, whether it's in a bikini or a carnival costume, or just a regular photo shoot. Just have something that shows that, you know, you can hold a pose, or, you know, have something on a runway if that's something that you do. Have presentable photos, you smiling, things like that, because they want to see like a fresh face. They want to see that you have a good posture. Let me fix up here. They want to see those
posture
things on a regular basis, right? Because yes, they can rehearse with you, but they can't, like, you might have a couple weeks to rehearse, right? It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time out of their schedule, your schedule, to have to rehearse. So they want you to somewhat be ready.
So you recently did Miami Carnival. You've been to Trinidad, you've been to Barbados,
Jamaica.
Right. First of all, actually, which one is your favorite?
Ooh. Until I did Trinidad, Jamaica was my favorite.
Okay.
I'm half Jamaican, half Bajan. And so I loved being able to hear the mix of soca and reggae. I know a lot of people would hate that. So I wouldn't advise, you know, the typical carnivalists to go to Jamaica if they don't like reggae. Because I'd probably say it's 60% soca, 40% reggae.
Like reggae or dancehall? And
everything.
Okay, so just Jamaican music. And I think that's nice. One of the things that I was talking to Shireen Taylor, who did an episode with me, she was talking about the way that carnivals are hyper localized. So in Jamaica, yes, you're going to hear dancehall. Yes, you're going to hear reggae, right? So yeah, I think that's good to know that for anyone who maybe, and I think it's good too for Jamaicans, because obviously sometimes the thing is like, oh, Jamaicans don't like soca, whatever. That might not necessarily be true, but I think it will be a great experience to like go back home to Jamaica and get that like yacht experience. It's carnival.
So nice. Yeah. And then you go find some food after. Like it's actually, it's so much fun. And what I like is that it's also very small. So you can wear your backpack, your frontline backpack, and not have to be like worrying about how to maneuver, which is huge in the other carnivals, right? So it's a really nice experience.
So before you went to Trinidad, Jamaica was your favorite, but what happened in Trinidad that just wiped Jamaica Carnival out the water?
So that was my first one. That was my first time this year, and like I bawled on the road like a baby. Really? I was crying. Like, don't make me cry right now. It was so beautiful. Like everyone has always said, you know, Trinidad, like there's nothing like it. It's the Mecca, da 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 da. But I'm like, okay, guys, whatever. It really is. Like, it's just beautiful. Forget the parties. Like, I think Trinidad's one of the only carnivals that I've been to that I didn't need the parties to help make the experience. So I feel like, for example, Barbados, love the road, love the experience, love the music, but I think the parties make up a lot of the experience. So Trinidad, it was like, if I just had Monday and Tuesday, I would be completely happy. I was like, being on stage was like nothing I've ever felt. It was beautiful. Monday and Tuesday.
That is so incredible. Coming from a non-Trini, it means so much more, because obviously people are gonna big up their own place, like, oh, you know, Trinidad's the best. Trinidad is like, but you're Trini,
yeah,
so like you're
Barbados is gonna get upset at me right
like
now.
Your auntie's gonna call you after she hears this, like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
But to hear it from somebody who's not from Trinidad, to talk about the emotional experience that you had at Carnival. And that was something that I noticed that happened to people this year at Spice Mass. They had something called like the Spice Mass Press Posse. Again, Shireen Taylor was part of that. And they had like these journalists and like media people come down to be able to go back and like document about Spice Mass. But I saw people like crying, like Juve morning. They jab up. Yeah. And like there's tears falling. I'm like, but I guess because I kind of grew up going to Grenada's Carnival, like I never had an emotional experience of it.
This is the norm.
It's just normal. Right. But I guess as you coming in as like an outsider and just experiencing, obviously I guess there's like a level of being overwhelmed almost with like, this is so incredible. Yep. So how did you feel when you crossed that stage?
I was just overwhelmed. Like it's so funny. There's this video. So Favor Films, his name is Courage, but he captured me on the road and he's like, I'm just going to stick with you because like you just are exuding so much emotion right now. And there was just a big smile on my face. I was singing. My hand was on my heart. Like, I'm going to cry right now.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it was like, unimaginable. Like I didn't expect that. I didn't expect what everyone said to be so real.
You're selling me on Trinidad Carnival.
You have to go at least once.
Because I always hear people who are from Trinidad talking about how it's advanced. I'm like, yo, like, obviously, that's not to discredit Trinidad Carnival or anything.
But it's home, so it's like, okay,
yeah,
you're saying that it's a bias.
To hear it coming from you as somebody who's not from there, and to still continue, like when you remember, to still have like that emotional response or like experience, it's like, whoa, okay.
I know, right?
Because
like,
for me, no, and I don't mean I don't mean like that because I'm a crier. Okay. Like one thing about me, I'm gonna cry. I don't even care. I used to laugh at my nana and my mom all the time for being crybabies. After I had my son, it was over. It was over. That was the initiation into crybabiness. So hearing that's the experience that you had Trinidad Carnival, it's so funny. Yeah. Like you're not the only one who I've heard has had an experience like that, where it was literally like tears, like big man tears. Even shout out to David. He told me, but that was at like one of the fetes in Trinidad, because it's like you're just looking around and it's like, yo, like this is different. So incredible.
It's very different from what I've experienced. Like and everyone, it's just a very elevated experience, but everyone's just happy. And as much as they say it's very mainstream, when you get to like the depths of that event, or like, you know, you get in that moment and everyone's like, they're playing a song that everyone loves and you look around literally and everyone's just singing, like just eyes are closed. It's crazy.
Shout out to Brianna Phillip. I don't even remember the way that she went into depth with it, but she was telling me personally just about the way how Carnival actually has an effect on people's brains, just from number one, being in community is healing. Number two, the power of soca. Healing. So it's like when you combine all these different aspects, of course people are going to have like emotion, and there's so many things that we carry that we don't even realize we're carrying, right? So it's like when you go to like the Mecca or like the heart of Carnival and you have that authentic experience, especially as an outsider, it's like,
it's like, this is where it began. Like this is literally the heart. Because I feel like a lot of people ask me like, how do I become a Carnival influencer? And I'm like, girl, I don't know. I just did it by accident.
Okay. So I noticed that you started this Carnival Tip Tuesday, which is actually very helpful. I definitely watched your how to tie a wire bra video like 4 times. So what got you started in this like Carnival influencer space? It's relatively new. Like in the last few years, I've started to see people do that. So how did you get started in that?
So in 2000, I think 19, I just decided to create an Instagram page. So I have a fitness page, and I decided that I wanted to separate the carnival aspect from it, because I said maybe I want to do something with this carnival thing. And I just started posting videos of, you know, old modeling at band launches. And I said, you know what? I can do more with this. I kind of got bored during COVID, and I said, okay, well, how can I do something differently, or how can I be different from what I see in this environment so far? So I said, well, let me educate somebody on like what mass is. And I remember just posting something, and someone was like, what do you mean, what's playing mass? They're like, what's a section leader? And I was like, wow, like the things that we think is general knowledge, people are like still calling this outfits. They're still saying what was the word they used? I want to dance in the carnival. And I'm like, okay, like you're dancing. Yeah, but it's, you know, you're playing mass and there's more behind it. So I started off with like terminology. I was like, okay, well, these are some major terms that you need to know, because someone's going to say, hey, you're playing mass, and you're not going to understand what they're saying. So I just decided to do these mini, I think at the time they were like 30-second videos, some mini clips that just gave really quick information that people could, you know, share, save, look at, reference. And it kicked off. I started tagging people that like I knew were really close to me and would appreciate it, and they supported. And yeah, it picked up. I think I grew from like 8,000 followers to 11 in a couple months, and then it grew to like 15, 16. And I was like, okay, people need the information. So that was something that I really enjoyed doing. I actually started the reels from wanting to do a YouTube channel. And I hated staring at my face for 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time. So I said, okay, well, let me try this 30-second thing and get it over with. And I really preferred that. So now I have the confidence, or a little bit more confidence, to try the YouTube thing.
Nice. Oh, well, I'm so excited for when you start making the YouTube videos and the YouTube content. That's kind of obviously the reason why I started this podcast too, is because I felt like we didn't have a space to have these conversations about the things that we do, right? So, and I think the best thing is seeing the way that people engage and add their insights and their input on social media when people get the chance to comment and say, oh, actually that's true, or actually no, that's incorrect. Or it's so cool when you know you're doing something and it's not for yourself, but you get a benefit from it. Exactly. It's like, I'm doing this for my community. I'm doing this for my carnival newbies, like my new girls, my new whoever. So that's awesome. Yeah. When it comes to, you know, these carnivals that you've been to, we were chatting a little bit about Miami, and we were comparing it to Toronto Carnival.
We were.
So both of them are carnivals in the diaspora, but I'm seeing Miami Carnival is growing like rapidly, and people are just kind of going crazy for this Miami thing. So I want to know, what's the hype about Miami?
Yeah, Miami is one of my favorites. Since the first time I went, I think 6 years ago, I haven't missed one. It gives you the island experience, but for much cheaper. And it's just an easy carnival to plan. That's the way I would describe it. It's very simple. You get your flight. Band launches, they launch around May, June, and it's very easy to get a costume. You don't have to submit, you know, your face, submit a picture. A lot of these carnivals now are getting very particular. Like, you have to submit a photo of yourself
to play in their
You have to get an invitation.
Wait. To play in somebody's section, like I'm giving you money to play in your section, but I have to be selected, exclusive. Why do you need my face?
And they might not even need the photo. They might not even be choosing. It's the exclusivity.
So this is not. So this is not to model. This is just to be in the band. Yeah,
you know, people. I think it really is the exclusivity.
So are these big bands or
this is not in Miami?
Bands?
So luckily, this is not in Miami.
Okay.
But some of the bigger carnivals, you do find that this happens. You have to receive an invitation from someone on the committee. Like, it's very, very strict. Even you touching on that, like someone I used to work with, like, she messaged me when she saw I was going to Trinidad, and she said, "Listen, Juve is like, you'll have so much fun at Juve because everybody of all classes, they're all dirty. They're all wearing the same thing. It's like, you can't judge, oh, this is a rich person, this is a poor person. Everybody is the same in that moment." And so it was like, that was an eye-opener, because it's really true, and you're literally celebrating the same thing. So why are we worrying about class.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it alienates some people, right? But you know, some people still, obviously they'll still do it. They'll still wait for the invitation. They'll still send in their photo, and I get it. You know, it implies like an elevated experience. Yeah, it implies like an elevated experience. And I get it. I get it, because if there is like, usually those bands are the top ones. You're going to get that really amazing experience. It's all business.
Yeah, it is.
It really is a business. As much as we celebrate Carnival, the reason we celebrate Carnival, for some people, it's a business.
And
like,
it's their livelihood, actually.
Exactly.
Like, this is how they make their money. Like, you go to work, you do your thing, you have your business. Like, my thing is mass. My thing is my band. And I need to protect this. So if I need people to send their pictures in, that's what we need to do. And I get that, right? There's just, when I first heard that, I'm like, huh?
For sure. But yeah, Miami's not like that at all. It's very, very simple. You get your costume, the parties. It's very straightforward. There's hundreds of parties that happen over that weekend. It's insane. You know, 6-7 parties a day. Yeah, from morning till
so you're
night.
so you have like a Miami Carnival itinerary, and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna do this one, I'm gonna do that one.
And I have the ones, you know, that I like. I'm a part of a couple committees, so I stick to them, and they always have great events like Radiance Productions. That's my little big ups. They throw amazing parties, all of them, from the Wednesday night all the way through till the Monday.
Okay, so when is Miami Carnival? It's not on the Saturday?
So the parade is actually on the Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always during our Thanksgiving. So I miss my mashed potatoes and my turkey and my gravy.
Oh my gosh. And you have to reheat it if you can't get something
literally.
When you come back.
I'm like, Auntie, please, can you save me some? I'm coming straight from the airport.
Okay, so every time we're having our Thanksgiving weekend is Miami Carnival.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've missed
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I missed lots of
So
dinners.
how much, like, reasonably, I'm sure, like, you know, you get sent out to these carnivals and stuff, but for somebody who's actually, like, we know you're exclusive, but for people who actually have to pay, so how much can somebody expect to be spending when they go to Miami Carnival?
So I think I actually did like a planning Miami Carnival. So you factor in your transportation. So whether you're renting a car, it's anywhere from like $100, $150, depending on the type of car you want, or if you're Ubering,
like a day per day.
No, actually, I think
total?
If you prepay, it's actually much cheaper.
Okay, like $100 to $150 for like what?
A rental car.
Wednesday to
I would say like Thursday to Monday.
Okay.
Yes, Thursday to Monday. That's the typical like time frame. You might get like a Thursday to Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Uber gets a little bit expensive, especially because there's lots of traffic in Miami. So you know you might be looking at like a $300, maybe more, depending on what you're doing. Flights, if you get them early, they're usually around $300, which is really great. This is Canadian. Costumes can range anywhere from $900 to like a $18.
US or Canadian?
Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's.
So when I do Miami Carnival, am I getting the 2 days of mass or?
Yeah. So it's not 2 days of mass, but it is a longer parade. It's about 8 to 9 hours. So you're there from 12. You probably finish around 8 to 9 o'clock. And then the trucks all park up and it becomes this like whole big block. Oh, it's a nice vibe. Everyone, you know, if you want to see your friends in a different band, like you just have to walk over to the next truck. It's actually a lot of fun. I typically stay instead of going to like a separate party.
Yeah.
There's no need. And then there's actually a concert. So all the big artists are there just on the other side of the field. Yeah, performing. So it's a really nice vibe, a really nice way to end the day. Because I know at the end at like 9 o'clock, I'm like, I don't want to go home. Mm-hmm. I'm like, can I cross the stage again?
Yeah, because the next day is just home time.
Yeah, literally. Like the next, I think, is their holiday. They have Columbus Day, I believe. So it's a holiday for them. But, you know, you're still going home.
Yeah. So, okay, so this concert that you're talking about, is this just for specific bands? Or it's like, this is the Miami Carnival concert. And like, once you have a wristband or a costume, you get to go.
Absolutely. So that's exactly what it is. When they sell tickets, it's called Miami Carnival Parade of the Bands and Concert. That's usually how they word it, how they group it together. So as long as you have your band, you can just mosey on over and watch the concert, but you can also pay separately for the concert.
So from what I'm hearing about your Miami Carnival experience, it sounds like they have like good leadership who's thinking about the best ways to market Miami Carnival, keep it competitive in the carnival space. Mm-hmm. So what would you say Toronto Carnival needs to do to stay competitive in the carnival market? I think the one hit that Toronto Carnival really has kind of like working against them, and a lot of people have said this, is the fact that we can't have alcohol on the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm hoping that changes. Like, I know they recently brought out something talking about, oh, you can drink in the park now. Like, I'm sure people have been doing that. Like, anyways.
Absolutely. They definitely have. People have their, hydration packs all day, and that's fine. I think it's just that it has to be concealed. I don't know. Is that what it is? Like, I can't.
I don't know. I think you're actually just not allowed to be just drinking on the public road.
Street, right?
Yeah. So
it's weird because it's a private.
I feel.
We cut off the road for an event, so like we blocked off the road. So I'm kind of like, why is it private? But we still follow like public laws. Like I'm still trying to figure it out.
I just got to download.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So sometimes what happens on this podcast is people just come. We just talk about our ideas. Like, what are our solutions? What can we do?
Yeah.
One person was saying we need to move where the carnival happens to like just somewhere else.
Yeah.
And my thing with that is like, there's going to be people who say, well, no, like the lakeshore is like the Toronto Carnival legacy. Like we need to keep it on the lakeshore, whatever. But when I'm thinking about now, like the alcohol that Toronto Carnival, like the way that it is right now, I don't think we can ever get alcohol on the lakeshore. No. So thinking about where can we go where Toronto Carnival can continue to be competitive.
Yeah.
She was saying Downsview Park. I don't know where Downsview Park is.
So it's okay.
Or
so
what it is.
Do
you think it can actually hold?
So I don't, it probably would be the biggest, it'd probably be the most likely place if you're thinking locations in the GTA. I can't think of any other location that's as big. I'm not saying it's big enough, but as big, it might be Downsview Park.
Like trucks and everything can fit in Downsview Park?
They can, but it's just like Downsview Park is really big. I've never actually looked at the entirety of it. It has a lot of like little parts. There's a lot of factories. There's a lot of different areas of Downsview Park. So I've never actually got to examine, but I've done like boot camps there. They have events there. They have Veld there, I think. Is it Veld?
Okay.
Yeah, so like it's a lot of thousand people, a bunch of thousands of people. Yeah. So it's possible. I don't know how the route would look because it's more of a circle.
Well, that's what she was saying. Like people would go around in a circle.
Yeah, I don't know how big it is, but that's Miami, though.
Okay, but you know the thing is, at the end of the day, once people get a chance to play their mass and they have a good experience,
exactly,
they're happy.
Really because as I was gonna say, so Miami, a lot of people complain, a lot of people discredit it because it's in like a county fair, like it's a circle. It's not a road, it's not a residential area, and a lot of people, relate Carnival to being on like a residential road. And I'm like, well, if you're there to play mass for the right reasons, doesn't matter. That's the way I look at it. Right?
It doesn't. Like, you could be in a field.
Literally, like we could just put me in the park, put me in the middle of the park, and just have us in costume, right? So I know I've heard BMO Field was something that was being considered.
I'm sorry, that is not big enough. What?
Right, but they're trying to find. I think it's just trying to find like a private area where it's like, okay, well now we can have alcohol, or now we can. We can take it off the lakeshore.
Be able to monetize it, right?
For
like
sure.
Right now, they're relying heavily on sponsorships and like government assistance.
Yeah.
And obviously, this year they came out saying like, "Hey, we don't have enough money. It costs like $2 million. It could be even more than that."
Yeah.
But if they were able to secure somewhere that could, fit however many thousands and thousands of masqueraders, then they would be able to ticket for that, and then that can go back into continuing to make the carnival better. So you're right. Yeah, it's like give and take, right? So when this was brought up, like, oh, we need to move where the carnival is, I was kind of like, why? Like, it's always been on the lakeshore. Some people are traditionalists, or we have a mentality of like, it's always been this way. But when I think about it in comparison to Miami, where we have this other diaspora carnival that's coming up fast and people are really liking it, it's like, okay, we might need to make some changes to be able to stay competitive.
That's exclusive to them, because we have nothing that's okay. Well, Toronto is special because of this. It's kind of just, we have a carnival. What, like, when people think about Toronto Carnival, they're like, oh, it's Toronto, it's cold. Oh, do you guys have alcohol? Like, that's literally, those are the things that I hear when people talk about Toronto, and I'm like, well, it's home. I love it. Like, that's why I'll always represent Toronto. But we need something that makes us special, something that sets us apart. Like, again, Miami is the Caribbean of the States in terms of carnival. That's the experience you get. So it's like, what can Toronto do? Especially because we don't have the alcohol on the road, because that's going to deter people on its own. So I've been trying to figure it out.
But that's the thing, though, is that, like, I think sometimes people think like, oh, like, it's the job of the FMC to like figure it out. But we actually have to have communal
absolutely.
conversations
Yeah,
to ideate and figure out, you know what, actually that might not work, or have like a town hall. Like I know I'm sure we kind of mix up because people would be cussing, oh, you didn't do this and whatever
I'm sure that happens
whatever
at every level.
right? But it's like, but we actually need to figure out like, okay, what do we need to do to make this thing keep going? Because all of us who are from here, we love it. Like it's something that we look forward to, and nobody wants to see it die out.
No.
So it's like, okay, well, in order to stay relevant, we have to pivot.
Yeah. You know, because Barbados is in direct competition. Grenada's right there, right after it, right? So people will up, and I'm like, you're going to go spend $10,000.
Antigua.
Yes.
Toronto.
Yes.
What is making me stay in Toronto instead of going to Barbados? If I have money to go somewhere else, why am I staying here?
Thing, right? So that, yeah, absolutely. And again, I've been trying to rack my brain, but you're right. Like a town hall or something, just something like community based, where it's like, okay, guys, we all have different ideas. We've all been to all these carnivals. Like, why can't we come together and think of something, help the FMC out? Because they're only a group.
It's like 3 of them.
Yeah, it's like a small group of people. Like, you know, they've been doing it. They love carnival. They do it because they love it. Yeah. Because I know it's stressful. Like, you can't tell me that you're doing this because it's amazing. Like, it's stressful.
I get paid so much,
right? So it definitely is our job, because even when they talk about getting volunteers, like literally, if there's no volunteers, if there's no youth, carnival's literally going to die in Toronto. Because at some point, people are going to want to retire. They're going to want to go to bed. They're going to want to, I'm done with this. We need to be the ones that really come up with it and make it special. Make it so that I don't choose to spend $10,000 and go to Barbados, Antigua, Grenada, right? Because that's what a lot of people are doing.
And the thing too is, like, when we think about just staying competitive in the carnival market or whatever, and just making sure that our kids and grandkids and all that stuff have somewhere to go to, we actually do have to pivot. We do have to come together and figure it out.
And being one, because nobody wants to sponsor a carnival that, you know, where we can't agree upon basic things. Like, you know, we can't come together on, you know, just like the small things that are involved in carnival. Like, how are we going to have a discussion about one of the major topics? So I think that's one of the huge things that need to happen ASAP, because there's a lot of me. And if it's all me, there's not going to be a carnival for you to talk about yourself at for very long. So I think there's just a lot of turmoil, and it's not good. I see these bands in other countries, and like, they can have a conversation. You know, they can come together. They can say, for the betterment of this carnival, we need to do this as a team. And I find I just hear so much in the back end. It's like, why here? Why?
Yeah.
Right. It's a lot of competition. I get it. It's a competition at the end of the day, but it's a competition for a carnival that we all want to support, that we all still want to have. And if we can't come together, it's like, literally, it's just going to wither away.
We need to have a town hall. we need to have a carnival town hall and do something where we can just make sure that we can keep this thing going.
Yeah.
I know I talked about like education to keep it going and all this, but it's like, all that stuff doesn't matter if on the back end is just a fight tub.
Yeah. Not at all. But definitely education is needed, because a lot of people still don't know. To this day, like, a lot of people don't know what they play mass. I remember videographers in Miami even. He tagged me in a video. He sent me the link to a YouTube video, and it said girls in outfits.
Okay.
And I said, this is not carnival. This is not where you were. We were not girls in outfits. I appreciate you sending the video, but I strongly suggest you you change the title, and just understand where you were, right? Because to him, we were just in bikinis. And a lot of people still think that.
And I don't know what shifted in my brain. But recently I've just been seeing carnival and fet videos of just like tongue bent over us. I'm like, this is too much.
No, absolutely. You're not wrong. I've seen things where I'm like, okay, like, I know I like to dance and just have my fun, but I've seen a lot of videos that are, you know, just promoted on every social media page, and it's the vulgarity. And I'm like, okay. Like, you know, they still just have the girls dancing in their outfits and they're happy. But what gets the million views are the nasty videos, right? The people on the floor, the people with stuff in their face. And I think it's I think it's just because the internet glorifies it. Okay. I think that's why it happens more, because that's literally opened up a realm for somebody to now monetize off of that. Right? So there are now Instagram accounts. I'm completely like, I'm friends with them, like I'm cool with them, but there are Instagram personalities who literally benefit off of that. Literally, it is at the end of the day, right? So but again, I think it's because the internet or social media glorifies it. Those are the videos that get the million views. You have a girl just dancing in the corner, it might get a couple thousand, but you have the video where people are upside down and then your face is here and she's up here and then there's another person down here, and it's like, those are the ones that get shared to every platform. Those are that's the thing. So again, it's opened up the realm for someone or people to monetize on that. It's like, why not?
I've just been feeling so uncomfortable seeing it lately. Normally, I think I never used to care. Yeah. I don't know what shifted me where I'm like, this needs to actually stop. Yeah. Like, it's definitely a lot. You see it every day now. If you guys want to do that, that's your business. But like, I always say that we have to be very conscious of the media that we're sharing. Mm-hmm. And the way that we're showing up. Even one girl reached out to me. She was like, why? She's Arab and she's Muslim. She's like, why do you guys dance like that? And why is the dancing so sexual? Why are the costumes so like scanty?
It's like, how do you answer now? Because it's like,
I can't even defend it.
Exactly. You can't, because literally anything that they see, if they follow your Island Mix, your Team Soca, your Soca Leagues, like whatever the major pages are that someone would follow to kind of understand us, that's what you're seeing sometimes. And I don't blame them for kind of looking at us a certain way, because if we're being portrayed that way and that's what's getting shared or that's what's getting pinned to the top of your profile, well, that's all I'm seeing. I don't get to see the depth. I don't get to see, where Carnival is rooted in. I don't get to see any of that information.
Or all the hard work that people put in to make these costumes by hand.
I don't see the designers making costumes, right? Those don't get the love. The videos that get the love are the ones that are the most like eye-grabbing in the moment. So these people are sitting there and they're like, okay, well, I want to learn about your culture, but is this your culture?
I think what happens to, even one girl said like some costumes that she loves, like she doesn't go with those sections because like the bra, she knows it's not going to cover her properly.
Absolutely.
But the thing that happens is sometimes they have these different options and you wouldn't even know because they're not
advertising them.
Yeah,
they don't. And a lot, like even for people who are like, who they consider plus size, they refused to play mask because they said, well, all you guys have are skimpy bikinis. And I was like, well, I promise you that's not all they have, because they like, there are dedicated sections. They have your sexy monokini now, or whatever you want to call it, but they don't advertise it. So I actually give props now. There are some designers who actually have made their main photo someone in a plus size option. Good. So that main ultra frontline costume and someone has on a monokini. And it's like, I loved that. I thought that was beautiful, because I'm like, you need to do that. Because someone needs to see themselves being the focal point and, see themselves in that costume, right? Because I think even with band launches and, bands, I look at them, especially with the ones that I'm closest with, or I can actually have a conversation with, and I say, hey, why do you only have one skin tone of women in your costume? You've alienated this color, this color, this color, this color. And I'm like, you actually just lost money, because now I can't picture myself in your costume. Why don't you have a plus size model in your costume? Now I don't know what I look like in this costume, right? So I have those discussions, and some are receptive, some still are, stuck in their ways. And that's going to take them where it's going to take them. But I really appreciate when they take the time to say, well, hey, let me think about like human bodies.
Yeah,
not everyone's a size 2, 3, 4.
And when we think about it, not everybody's super fit to be wearing it. Women's bodies are different. Some of us have bigger, some of us have smaller, like just all these different little nuances, right? And I remember reading an article, and the lady was saying like a lot of these costumes are designed by men for men's, like, I don't know, like pleasure or like enjoyment, seeing women in these costumes. And so sometimes that's why we don't see like the same level of like representation that we would need in like the varying degrees of design or coverage and things like that. So I don't know, what would you say to that? Have you dealt with mostly male designers, or is there a mix?
I have dealt with mostly male designers. One of my favorite designers is a male. And I think he's very considerate. I actually had an experience with him, David Dewar. I shout him out all the time. He's a very nice person just in general, but I have probably modeled or worn the most of his costumes over my carnival span in like international carnivals. But for example, he did a costume in Jamaica last year, and there was a frontline only section, and it was the bra. It was just a design that had a bra that kind of came like this, and obviously the model, she was probably like an A or a B cup, and her breasts were like extra firm. Cool, that's ideal for someone like that. I looked at the costume and I was like, this is my favorite costume. I can't wear that. I actually cannot wear that. So I remember I asked him, I was like, hey, would you be willing to make a regular bra? And he said yes. And I was so appreciative, because that was huge to me, because I've had experiences where someone was like, no, we're not going to change the bra for you. And I thought that was ridiculous, because I'm like, you're a woman. You should understand more than anybody that people have different like breast size, weight, all of those things. So it was really nice to know that someone was willing to do that. Sorry if I just put you on blast, David. Please don't have everybody asking you to change your bra. But it was huge, and it meant a lot, and it just showed like there's a consideration, right, for people who like they understand that women's bodies are different. But yeah, I have worked with typically men designers or male designers. I haven't had not too many issues. The one I wore in Miami was pretty skimpy, but I know Rion designs, like he designs tiny. So I wore his Monday wear in Trinidad, and it was tiny. It was tiny. So I kind of knew what I was dealing with. I just had to kind of maneuver it and play around with a little string, and I was fine. But like obviously I would have, if I could have had an extra inch or two, I absolutely would have asked it. But one thing I will say, one thing that was really like, I was happy about, the part that covered my front parts, my lady parts, was very wide.
Good.
Like this wide. And I was like, whoa, this is the widest panty I've worn in like years, 3-4 years. And I was shocked, but I appreciated it, because I didn't have to worry once on the road about any slipping. And that's,
oh my God, that was me. I was like,
it happens. No, but it happens.
But I don't want to be concerned about, I want my clothes to fit.
And I want to don't have to worry about it. Exactly. You don't want to worry about it. And you shouldn't have to. So again, there's always things you can do. Some people just bring their sewing kit and they'll just add the material. Some people will wear a swimsuit under. Like I could have gotten a gold bikini and just put it under, right? But that's just me being stubborn. I'm like, it's gonna fit. I'm gonna make it fit.
So, okay. So you were talking about earlier, like instead of like going and paying $10,000 to go to these different carnivals, like, is that how much it's costing people? Like if I'm coming from, and I don't have family to stay with or anything, like I can expect to be paying $10,000 for like,
especially from Canada,
a week,
especially from Canada,
or maybe a weekend.
So when you factor in the flight, I think the flights are ridiculous now. I remember looking for a flight to St. Lucia last year, and I saw $2,100 at one point, I guess based on the time frame that I wanted to go from. And it was like a 27-hour flight. Like there was layovers, and I said $2,100 and it's not even a direct flight. No, I can't do this. Like I can't make sense of it. Barbados, I paid, I think $1,200. There's also options, I will say, if you work with different sites or you go on different sites, they actually have payment plans. I don't know if anybody knows that, but
no, I didn't know that. For
example, Air Canada has something called Uplift, and you can book the flight, and it's like Afterpay or like a Klarna.
So you'd be paying the interest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But for someone that can't pay $1,200, right, it might work for them. So option. But it is expensive. The flights are really expensive. Barbados, for example, the food is very expensive.
Which is so annoying because Barbados has some of the best food. Like,
it's amazing. I was so happy. But I love it. I felt like I was in a different land. But it was really nice. Like it was worth it to me. Some people it might not be worth it, but it is pretty expensive. The costumes are $2,000 if you want a frontline with a backpack. I want a frontline with a backpack. That's me. Some people might say it just makes sense to get body wear.
That's me. I'm a backline baddie.
That's completely, you know what? And every time I do it, I'm like, it made more. Why did I do this? It's really one of those things. Yeah. And I keep mine on to the end of the road and I take it home. And
okay. So let's talk about that. How do you get your backpack on the airport in your luggage? Like, how do you get it back?
So for 3 or 4 years, I was just sweeting people up and making friends with the flight attendants and got them to put it behind the very last seat of the plane.
Okay. And
some of them are okay with it. They get overwhelmed by like the prettiness of the costume, and they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, let's find a place to put it in. That's my interpretation because they're always so happy.
Yeah.
But recently, so a friend of mine, she came up with a concept called the Carnival capsule, and it's basically a way to take your costume home. It's a circular like bag. It's almost like a garment bag, but it's circular so that it can actually kind of fit the shape of your costume, because a garment bag is straight. Yeah. It's hard to get your wings in. So I've been doing that. It's fit my largest costumes. I think my Trinidad costume was 2.5 meters wide.
Whoa.
I got it home.
In the Carnival capsule?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been doing that. They'll tag it. I try my best not to check it like up front. Mm-hmm. But I'll go like as soon as I get to the gate and they'll check it for me. I feel like that's a bit more reliable, because if you lose my wings, I'll be very upset.
Because that was the whole costume money. Yeah. The whole costume money is the backpack.
It really is.
The feathers.
It is.
Somebody was telling me it costs $27 for a pack of 3 feathers.
Stop it. Yeah. I remember I went to McDonald's or Wang's. It's down the street from my house. And I went to just add some feathers to a backpack. I was like, the backpack was maybe white and I wanted to add some color. It's expensive.
So when what'd you say, McDonald's or Wang's? Are those the Carnival?
Yeah, so there's a store called McDonald. I believe it's McDonald's. Yes. So they're across the street from each other. They're actually in Scarborough. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't tell everybody where this is. But they're in Scarborough, and you can get gems, feathers, appliques, all the things. So I'm sure that a lot of, bands or sections are get their supplies from there. Like obviously you can go to New York. Some people, they'll order things from different countries. But if you're staying local, those are the 2 stores that I know.
Okay. What about kind of just like, I don't know, like just carnival ethics? Like I know that was something that somebody wanted me to touch on. I feel like you would be a good person to talk to about carnival ethics, being that you've been to so many different carnivals, whether it's like backpack, like when you're wearing a backpack, mm-hmm. like how you're supposed to be maneuvering yourself, mm-hmm. or maybe like with a wine, like when enough is enough. Or
well, that's up to you and your partner. There's little things, right? Like I'm someone who always has my backpack on, and I think my biggest thing is when someone else with a backpack is just, they're not minding the other people with backpacks. Like you have one on, that, just respect the other people's space if you can. I think there's always a way to, kind of just gently excuse yourself or gently pass through. But some people are kind of, they're always in a rush. They're always just running through, and they kind of ignore that there are other people around. So I think just be mindful. I think it's possible. It's less easy in places like Trinidad. I was ready to throw away my backpack.
Really?
Yeah. It was a lot. I loved how it looked, but it was a lot. There's so many people. And I noticed that on the Monday. And I was like, if I'm a sardine on Monday with just body wear, what's it gonna look like on the Tuesday? And I was ready. So I'm so happy that they have a break in the middle of the parade. I realized where I was, and I was 5 minutes away from home.
And then I cried crossing the stage.
Right? Yeah. It was gone. Well, actually no, because the first stage they actually have, you think you cross twice.
Oh, cool.
So you cross in the day. So I crossed with my backpack, which was really nice. And then I threw it away. I didn't throw it away. It's at home. But I left it at the rest stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing that she was talking about. She was like, just talking about like the ethics of like how to maneuver your body when you're in a backpack.
Yeah,
so you're not just
you got to do the sidewalk, guys. It sucks, but you have to, especially because you don't want to poke somebody in the face, right? It doesn't feel good, and then it happens to you, and it's just not a fun experience, especially because a lot of these feathers, they're not just the soft feathers anymore. They're not the soft plumes. They're cut, and they're very sharp. Like it actually cuts people. So you have to just be careful. Yeah, you have to be careful. You have to be mindful. And again, if you're someone that has a backpack on, I think you should be even more mindful because you know what to expect.
So based on the emotional experience that you had Trinidad Carnival, I'm assuming that you would recommend like everybody experience Trinidad Carnival, would you say?
Yeah, I think
even though there's so many people and like you would still say go.
Yeah. I think the reason there were so many people this year was because this was the first like regular year. Like last year, was it last? Yes. Last
No,
year?
I think this was the first year
Was
back.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
That. So next year might not be as packed. It will still be full, but it might not be as packed. Like I think everybody was like, I need to go. This is the year I need to go. I actually went because my daughter's birthday usually falls around Trinidad Carnival. So this was the first year that it didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. This was the first year that it didn't. So I was like, okay, well, I have to. But it wasn't because it was the first year after. I said I would have waited. But I don't know what, the following years are going to look like. So that's why I did it.
So if people want to follow up with your Carnival Tip Tuesdays and all the content and tips that you share for Carnival newbies. So her name on Instagram is Carnival Bae, but that stands for Carnival Before All Else.
Oh, she knew.
Yes, I looked at your page. I think I kind of half answered the question that I was going to ask you, but if somebody wants to find you, like where's the best place to find you?
Yep. So Instagram, absolutely. Carnival Bae, Carnival BAE. I haven't posted my Carnival Tip Tuesdays in a couple weeks, but I think I'm just coming down from a lot that's been going on, and but they're still posted on my page. They're still very relevant, and I will be continuing them very soon.